All right, hopefully we are live. Hello, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the 40 years, 40 games marathon. I know I have been. I am Deshana. I'm going to be showing off one of my favorite games. It's Legend of Oasis on Sega Saturn. And if you've seen me around a couple of SegaCrew events, I've played the prequel to this game on the Genesis Beyond Oasis a couple of times. And I'm really excited to show this one off because I think it's a huge step up and a worthy competitor in the adventure game genre. So let's go ahead. I'm going to be showing off the any percent run. We're going to be skipping a lot of stuff. So if you're a fan of sequence breaking and using game engine mechanics to the fullest extent, you are going to enjoy this run. So we start off, we are Leon, which is an interesting name for a Japanese game's protagonist, I think. Resident Evil 4 vibes. And we're going to be heading into the Water Shrine to pick up the first spirits. If you've played Beyond Oasis, you'll recognize Ditto, the Water Spirit. And she's the first spirit that you pick up in that game as well. So right away you can see I'm going to jump up onto a boulder and then just, rather than pushing it slowly, we're just going to take a running leap and span the chasm. You're supposed to go through a whole dungeon here, and we're going to instead jump on a mouse's head and skip the whole dungeon. There's so many sequence breaks in this game that I feel like they had to be intentional. You're supposed to fight this guy. We're going to roll under a bridge there and just move on with our day. And we're going to hit a switch. You're supposed to grab a bow. I'm supposed to already have 2 weapons, and we're not even picking up the second weapon for the entirety of the run. We don't need any bows. You're supposed to shoot a bow through here. We're not going to worry about that. We're just going to grab a health potion and move on with our day. Yeah, the graphics in this game are absolutely absurd for the time. This came out a year before Final Fantasy VII. Not to, shit on a classic RPG or anything, but I honestly think this game looks a lot better than that, and it came out in the US a full year before that game did. Alright, so we're moving on to the first boss of the game, Monique. He's an interesting looking fellow, but if you're familiar with Beyond Oasis, you know that the special attack where he spins around is really powerful. It's a whole new level in this game. Completely destroys bosses, makes you invincible, kills enemies with no problem. That was a boss. I know he went down really quick, but I promise that was a boss. So we've got Ditto, our water spirit. She has the same basic ability she had in the first game. She can throw bubbles. She can throw out heals. She has a water tornado. We'll be using all of those abilities throughout the game. I would say she's the most useful spirit by far. I'm supposed to use her to get back in here. We're just going to skip again. This game lets us. And we're making our way out of the first dungeon. Pretty quick. You do need to use Ditto for some of these fire pillars to get out of here. But then now we're going to get rid of her for a while. So yeah, we are Leon, the destined spirit king who has the gold armlet, can summon and control the spirits. So in Beyond Oasis, the first game on the Genesis, there's 4 spirits. Ditto, the water fairy, Ifrit, the fire genie, Shade, who's just a shade of you, and Bau, who is a plant spirit. All 4 of those spirits do make a return in this game. Because this is technically, narratively, a prequel, we also get to see 2 new spirits that we will be adventuring with, which we will talk about when we get to them. And we'll also talk about how and why they are not in the narrative sequel of Beyond Oasis when we get to that as well. So we talked to Ordon. It's like, yeah, we got Ditto. We can move on with our adventure. We need to calm the chaos in the lands. So now go get Ifrit, the fire spirit. He's the next closest guy. I'm going to do a fun little sequence break here. Again, this one definitely intentional. You can fall through and just land on this rod rather than using Ditto's bubbles to freeze the water and platform your way across. That takes time. We don't want to take time. Skip through here. And we are most of the way through Ifrit's dungeon already. There's ditto freezing enemies for me. One nice thing, so in Beyond Oasis, you definitely have to tell the spirit to do all of the things that you want it to do. Ditto freezing those enemies there was not me. She just does that on her own. They actually added a little bit of AI for the spirits. They'll do some stuff on their own. Ifrit would always attack enemies for you. But like here, Ditto will actually heal you if your health is low automatically. And then her healing ability is like a zone of healing, as opposed to sending out the little healing spirits like it was in the first game. So this dungeon, we're going to take advantage of the fact that all of the Z levels are just fully programmed into the game, and if you can jump on an enemy or jump on an iron ball like that and get up there, the game just lets you. The environments are fully fleshed out and exist, and there's no artificial restrictions. If you can do it, you can do it. It's really nice. Alright, so here is the second boss, Ogre Tank. I messed up the manipulation to get underneath him without taking damage, so we're going to do this a little bit slow. But again, the triple spin special attack is just very strong. So, she'll go down pretty quickly. And we're moving on. We're done with Ifrit. I pick up our Fire Spirit. And then we're going to do the first true sequence break of the game. Hopefully it doesn't take me too many attempts. We're going to be doing a Death Abuse. So you saw me pick up that red potion. It's in the top right corner of the screen now. What that'll do is when I lose all of my HP, that brings me back to life with full HP. So I'm going to get myself kind of low here. Hopefully not too low. And then we're going to escape this dungeon. So it can be kind of risky getting yourself this low, this fast, because I still do have quite a bit of enemies to work my way through before I'm out of this dungeon, but I'm confident we'll be fine, and if not, we're a couple minutes into the run. I guess we can restart. Yeah, so the frame rate and just the graphics, this game is gorgeous. For the time that it came out, I think this is one of the best looking games. I owned a Saturn as a kid, and this was one of like 3 games that I had. I had Daytona USA, Shining Force 3, Scenario 1, and this. I'm going to make a safety save here just in case. And yeah, I think this is the best looking of those 3. Though I would make an argument that Daytona has the best soundtrack. Don't at me. I do. I was... For the Sega 8... I put together a little bit of a tutorial for Beyond Oasis. And somebody in my stream had mentioned that the soundtrack for this game is less like a video game soundtrack and more like an adventure movie soundtrack. And I think that's for Beyond Oasis. I think that's really accurate. And for this game as well, there's not a ton of music in it. And there's our Death Abuse. But the music that there is, I think, is really atmospheric and like very much like an adventure movie. And I think that's pretty accurate. So this section of the forest that we're in, you just saw me take a hit from a fish, die, and then come back to life on top of a cliff. You were supposed to go through an entire, like, detailed dungeon, and lots of platforming, lots of combat encounters, rooms that you get locked in. We can just skip all of that by letting a fish hit us in a river, and here we are. Yeah, so this speedrun definitely takes advantage of the fact that the environment just fully fleshed out. It's there, and if you can do it, the game lets you. And I think that's really cool. We're going to be taking advantage of that a lot in this run. So we're going to push that boulder off the cliff to get a key. One thing you'll definitely notice throughout this run, if you get into it, is that most of the routing for the speed run is where do you get keys and how do you keep them, because a key is a key is a key in this game. I messed that up. this boulder on my head. I need to get it off without it breaking. In a lot of games, like the Zelda games, if you get a key in a dungeon, it's only useful in that dungeon, right? In this game, if you've got a key... Get it up again. That key can be used anywhere you'd like. So we're going to be grabbing keys and where they're not intended to be used and carrying them through to other places so that we don't have to do a lot of backtracking. So what I'm trying to do here, and failing at, is getting this boulder off of Leon's head. So I could just jump, but then it'll break like that. So give this a couple more tries. We're going to be taking another death abuse here. I did it wrong again. So there's this little outcropping here where you can get the boulder stuck. Oh, I probably had it there. That's fine. As long as it comes onto the ground without breaking, we're good. I'm just a little worried because my health is low and I need to take the death abuse. That's fine. Let me get a little bit more of this forest music. There's this little tiny pixel where if you push it too far, it's going to roll off the edge, and we don't want that. Oh, okay, and then we died. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reset. That's why I made a save. This game's got a fun, quick, soft reset. Pull the ABC and press start, and then the game restarts, like a lot of games did at the time. Hopefully this goes a little bit better. There we go. That's what I wanted to happen the first time. So I'm gonna actually... afraid of these ghosts. They're spooky. Alright, so we get up here and we let the ghost hit us and pop us up to the top like that. And then we can hit the switch and we'll never have to do that death abuse again. Because that will lower down a platform for us. To let us skip back to this part of the dungeon whenever we want. So we're going to do some fun little platforming shenanigans here, get ourselves in the right pixel, and jump across. And so this gold crystal you see to the north of Leon, that's actually one of the last dungeons in the game, and we are going to be going into that pretty soon. Oh, unless I screw up like that. That's not ideal. Okay, we can fix this. Nothing's ever going to go according to plan, so we have backup plans for a reason. Get rid of Ifrit, we'll summon Ditto, get rid of these fires, we're going to grab a rod here. And we're going to do that again, but better. So this game's got a really cool feature where every spirit has a special scroll that can enhance your weapon. So we picked up a blue scroll when we dropped into this area. And that blue scroll lets us turn the rod weapon that we picked up in Ifrit's dungeon into the holy rod. What the holy rod will do, I'll demonstrate it here really quick against the ghosts. Oh, no, I missed it. So, I'll show it off later. With the holy rod, these undead ghost enemies, if you just kill them naturally with like your weapons, they'll die temporarily, but then they'll come back to life a few seconds later, and they'll just endlessly hound you, and it's kind of frustrating. With Ditto's holy rod, though, their little spirit escapes their bodies, and they'll die forever, instantly, no matter what their HP is, which can be really useful in a casual run of the game, because some of the undead enemies actually start to get really powerful. So we push that pot onto the frozen platform and then just jump down and into the boss fight of the dungeon well before we're supposed to, using one of those keys, two of those keys that we picked up throughout this dungeon before we're supposed to have them. This boss is kind of fun. He's just like a big plant, and he summons bees? I don't know. Some of the enemy design in this game is pretty wild. But that's the third boss done, and we're going to pick up our plant spirit, Bao. If you remember from Beyond Oasis, Bao's dungeon is the longest, most convoluted, most difficult, frustrating dungeon in the entire game. Obviously not the case here. I'd say the Shade Dungeon takes that honor in this game. Alright, so we've got 3 spirits. Narratively, at this point in the game, if we were doing this intended, we would have had to go back and do a bunch of story beats before we even got to this dungeon at all. And in order to progress the story, we do have to do those. So we're going to go back and do some out-of-order story stuff. To pick up our 3rd weapon, which should be, as intended, our 4th and final weapon to pick up. But we're never going to grab the bow. It's gone. Don't even worry about it. There's a preview for a late-game boss, Dark Will. He's one of Agito's lieutenants. He shows up, same with the Red Demon in front of the first boss, just to kind of taunt us. They're jerks. Actually, don't need to do that right now. So if this was a PB attempt, I'd be doing things a lot faster and trying to run everywhere. In Beyond Oasis, Ali, your character in that game, he can run and nothing in the world will stop him from sprinting. He can sprint into walls, you can sprint into enemies, you can sprint as much as you want, and Ali is never going to stop. In this game, Leon, if he stubs his toe on a crack in the ground that's slightly too big, he's going to stop sprinting. And that makes actually maintaining full speed throughout the game pretty difficult. But it's kind of a fun challenge. So we're going to use that Holy Rod. Holy Rod also makes these little plants turn into springs. You can jump up as well as killing the undead enemies. We're going to be taking advantage of that a few times throughout the run. I did need to summon my water spirit here. So what's happened in the village is a girl has shown up, sick and dying, and for whatever reason, these villagers believe that somebody who has black hair must be evil. It's one of their superstitions. This girl has black hair, so they're going against tradition to even put her in their house and help her out. Because somebody has black hair, she must be evil, right? Yeah, I don't know. She is evil, but they're right for the wrong reasons. Let's say that. In a similar sort of a twist from Beyond Oasis, which I won't fully spoil, but there is a twist. Somebody that you think is good turns out to be evil. This girl is a bad guy. Spoilers, sorry. Alright, so we have done what we should have done to even get into the dungeon that we just finished. We got the cube that lets us go in. So we're going to head back. Bring this skelly man back to life, and then refill our Holy Rod. So this guy, we talked to him, and he lets this barrier down, and now we've got a little bit easier access into this part of the dungeon. We're going to do a little bit of a Z level abuse here. So we activated these platforms earlier. We'll do a jump, and then we'll do a jump, and it'll let us on. And that's kind of fun. Make a safety save here. So there's another whole section of a dungeon that we were supposed to do. We just got the red cube from Myra, and then we're going to be picking up a blue cube, and then later a purple cube. There is a couple of cubes in Beyond Oasis as well, so just kind of bringing old favorites back. Here is a fun little platforming skip that we're going to do, if I can put my inputs in correctly, which is a pretty big if. But another example of how they just built the environment and then let you do what you're going to do. So we just jump across this pit, and here we are. We got a blue cube. Dungeon complete. And we'll make our way out. So there's a fun link, and you'll miss it here. There's a key in one of these just random bushes. We're going to grab it, and we're going to use it where it is not meant to be used. Alright, so back where we did our second death abuse for that giant rock. And we're going to take yet another. So I need to get my health a little bit low. Try and get these ghosts to attack me. They're reticent to do so. what's my health at? 22. Take one more hit. That puts us at 14. This should put me at 9, right? Okay. Now we're going to summon Ifrit. We're going to make a safety save, as this section of the game is one of the biggest skips and also one of the most difficult. So as I said, I pushed a switch that lets us jump up here without having to do that whole boulder death abuse, which is nice. And we're going to fall into this hole here, and hopefully we'll get a couple of ghosts spawn on the right-hand side over here for us. They can interfere with this death abuse if they spawn on the left side. I'll wait around for a minute. Right. In a PB attempt, it's almost just a reset if you don't get them right away. All right, there's one. We're going to call that good. So do our little cheeky jump over here. Jumped a little bit too far, actually. Okay. So we need to... Okay, there we go. There's some sort of a jet outside of my window. Hopefully that's not being picked up too loud. We're going to push this iron pot up to this crystal. We're going to throw Ifrit back there. Have him do his ultimate attack. Nice, we got a first try. So what you do, whenever an iron pot like that explodes, it does a big explosion effect that will knock Leon up into the air. And it will take advantage of the fact that when Leon dies, he gets knocked into the air, plus the knocking in from the explosion and a jump to triple our height and get in over this crystal. This is the second to last dungeon in the game, and we're just going to do it right away. We're doing a very large sequence break here, and we're getting spirits out of order. So we got the first 3 in the right order. We got Ifrit, we got Ditto, Ifrit, and then Bao. And next you're supposed to get a new, quote-unquote, in air quotes, new spirit, Brass, who's the spirit of sound. But we're not doing that. We're just going straight and grabbing Shade next, thanks to some real clever platforming abuses. So as you see, I was jumping across crystals, death abusing into the dungeon. We're going to take advantage of this mimic enemy here and have Bao explode and attack him. Bait him out to this crystal. Come on, guy. There you go. We'll have him attack us up here, get onto this platform, and we're at the end of this whole first section, unless I do that and just jump off the edge. Nothing to see here, folks. Pro gamers at work. Definitely know what I'm doing. I promise. Take 2. All right, Bao, explode. Leon's just, he's excited. He likes to run. What can I say? Second try. All right, we made it. So there's a key in here. That's what we wanted to do. Get rid of Bao. So we're going to push a rock off a cliff here to activate a rock switch. Boom, there we go. Which activates this platform, which we'll get on and swap to... swap to our dagger, I guess. Meant to swap to the heavy sword that we picked up in the Bao dungeon. And so here's this little glowy green orb, same as the glowy blue orb that gave us the Holy Rod. This will activate the green scrolls from Bao's power, and that lets the heavy sword break these stone pillars, which we will be taking advantage of a lot. Many of the dungeons in this game, their puzzles revolve around getting one of the spirit's weapon imbue effects and then taking advantage of it. And often it's the green sword. I have a lot of good things to say about this game. The puzzle design is fairly repetitive. There's... Not to say this. The world record of the speedrun of this game is 50 some odd minutes, 56 I think. There's easily 40 hours worth of content in this game, and all of it gets skipped in the speedrun. The required puzzles in the speedrun leave something to be desired. When you're playing through it casually and just exploring, this is a phenomenal game. There's so much to explore, so much to see. Really cool mechanics dealing with all 6 of the spirits and their varied powers. Tons of secrets to uncover. I really have nothing but praise for the game casually. As a speedrun, I think they're letting you have freedom to just run around and explore the world in a fully realized world. Actually kind of bit them, because you can take advantage, as we're doing. We're in one of the last dungeons in the game, and we're a few minutes in. But that's fun. Speedrunning is fun. Well, it should be fun. Don't stress yourself out about it. So we're going to summon Ifrit. We need him to light the candle. I was trying to avoid having him in this dungeon. This little section here. Kill Goldman. So Ifrit will punch the bad guys like he does in Beyond as well. But he doesn't do a ton of damage without grabbing his upgrade crystals, and he gives the enemies iframes. So we actually, although I need him here, I don't want him to be fighting bad guys. So one of my favorite parts about this game, and at least in the North American localization, is some of the enemy names are just wild. Like Goldman. Hey, he's a dude with gold armor. Let's call him Goldman. Like, yeah, it works. But it's kind of weird. I don't know. There's all these spiders. Some of them are called, like, Tarant. I wonder if that could be Tarantula. Alright, so we use Ifrit to break through those logs. Here's this little rock on the ground. We saw one of these earlier. I pushed a rock onto it to activate the switch. Now, the green sword, as well as breaking rock pillars, can activate these rock switches. So we need to take advantage of the rock sword quite a few times in this dungeon. Grab a key. Oh, we missed our platform. That's fine, because we can just run up the stairs. Summon Ifrit here to break this tree, to get rid of Ifrit, to summon Ditto. We use Ditto to freeze some zombies. So we freeze the zombies to jump on their heads. I keep going too far. Jump on their heads to skip a platforming section. There we go. So there's supposed to be a boss fight here. We break those trees, and then they explode, and the boss comes out. We're not going to worry about that. I'm going to pick up level 2 bombs before we get level 1 bombs, because sequence break. Thy name is Legend of Oasis. Activate a little robot guy. One fun thing about the narrative of this game, there's a hidden ancient society that was far more advanced than the current world that had electricity, which is kind of neat. It's one of my favorite tropes of the lost, ancient, awesome tech civilization. It's on full display here. We got robots, we've got electricity, and one of my favorite little things to summon the spirit of electricity, who we will be getting relatively shortly. You can use these little electricity balls, or you can use steam, as basically all of our power today is generated through steam. I think that's a fun little nod to reality there. And so you've seen these a few times. There's a heart platforms that will fully heal you while you stand on them. There's these little blue spirit platforms that will fully heal your spirit if you're standing on them, and then there's purple ones that will do both. They're quite useful. I'm going to take a safety save just in case. Marathon strats. As we're into the boss for Shade. This is one of the coolest designed enemies that I hate it. It's awful. It screams. It makes baby noises. It has a nose on the top of its egg head. It's got eyes all over and weird orifices. Enemy design in this game is great. It's gross. The ghost egg, which is spawning a bunch of ghosts. So we don't take advantage of it in the speedrun, but when you kill these ghosts, as I mentioned, if you just use a normal weapon, they'll come back to life after a second. In this boss fight, the ghost egg instead absorbs them, making itself more powerful. If you're playing this casually and just going out of your way to explore and find all the things, you could have as many as 15, maybe 18 uses of the Holy Rod ability that kills the undead instantly and permanently. And if you kill all of these little ghosts using the Holy Rod instead of what we're doing here, it actually makes this boss weaker once it hatches out of the egg. It's very slow to do that. We only have 3 uses of the Holy Rod, so killing 3 ghosts doesn't do anything to the length and difficulty of the boss, so we don't bother with it. But fun little thing, if you're actually playing the game as designed, fun interactions between your different spirits and the bosses. So we're going to let this ghost snake, the Screamer, as he's called, just kind of rush at us a few times as we attack his tail. Oh, and he hit me. That hurt. No. Things are out of hand. There we go. We got it. He does scream. I guess the name's accurate. And he explodes. And we will grab Shade, our good old pal who is hiding out behind a dragon in Beyond Oasis. That's one of the coolest pixel arts in that game, full of cool pixel art. Summon it here. So you can see on the pause screen, he's the 3rd in the line. Ditto, Ifrit, Shade, then Bow, but we are supposed to get Ditto, Ifrit, Bow, and Brass, who's to the right of Bow, and then come back to get Shade. I don't understand the ordering on the pause menu at all. It's confusing. So these enemies here, they're called Thorn. And as you can hear when you attack them with normal attacks, they just kind of laugh at you. The only thing in the game that can hurt them is Shade's claw attack. And so we're supposed to get Brass first. I've mentioned this a few times. What we just did, where we attacked that Thorn and a little portal showed up, that portal takes you to the room before the boss of Brass's dungeon. So we are now fully in sequence break mode. We're literally the entirety of Brass's dungeon we are not going to be doing. Alright, I want to make sure I do this right. So we got right, left, left, right, left, and then left, right. Okay. I'm talking and I'm getting in my own way of remembering what I'm supposed to be doing. Alright, so we're at the boss of Brass's dungeon. We didn't do any of it because it sucks. I let him go. So this little guy, Tim, as he's called, he can get out of hand when he dives underneath the sand like that. Turn into tornadoes. So what you want to do is stun lock him and make sure that he doesn't do any of the stuff that he's doing right now. But we get to show off some of his attacks, and that's fun. Get this cool 3D effect tornado. This game blends. It's mostly sprite work and very well done sprite work, but then you get some of the Saturn's 3D effects there. Dang it. Let him go again. So there is some trick to finding him when he summons all those little sand golems. I believe one of the golems will be facing a unique direction, and that's the one where he's actually hiding in. But as his health gets lower, he summons more of them, and they start to overlap, so it gets difficult to actually find him. He's got 1 hit left. We're good. We just gotta... we should be good. Okay. No, my goodness, Tim, I hate you. Just let me hit you 1 time. Oh my goodness. Well, This has gone off the rails. So one of the attacks that I've really been hoping that he'll do, he has declined to do. This is the one. So he turns into a little shadow on the ground there, and then his little red eyes on the ground will tell you where he's at. All right, so that's this fight is one of the ones where you can lose a lot of time in the speed run because obviously he can just decide he wants to be underground and not let you hit him. But we made it. We got our friend Brass, the spirit of sound, who I think is the coolest looking of all of the spirits. He's got these really cool wings. It almost reminds me of like the angels from Diablo. And he can break these crystals, which is how we were supposed to get into Shade's dungeon. But we're cooler than that. So, as he breaks these crystals, you saw I picked up a purple elixir. That's very similar to the health potions that we've used for death abuses before. But when you die using the elixir, you also get your spirit back, as you might imagine. The red and blue combination. So after we get Brass, we're going to be heading back to our village. While we've been away since the black-haired evil spirit girl has been there, the plague that's infected the village has just spread and gotten worse. And she is missing. She's left the village. So probably no connection there. I'm sure everything's fine. We'll go back to check. Everybody we see just they're napping. They're laying down on the ground because they're tired. Sure, things are good. Use Ditto's healing power here. And we talk to Ordon. He's like, "Oh, I'm old. I'm gonna die. I have my sword," which we will take because we need it. Another one of my favorite tropes in games is late game stuff being hidden at the very beginning of the game, which you can't access it. Here's a teleport to Brass's or Shade's dungeon, right at the beginning of the game. And obviously you can't access it until you have Shade, because he's the one that opens it. And then we'll do the intended route to get back into this dungeon. We'll use Brass to break that crystal. We're picking up some more keys that we're going to be using throughout the rest of the run in here. Now, typically, if you're playing the game as the developers intended, all of these keys that I'm picking up here, they're designed to be used in this dungeon because you should already have Brass at this point. But that's no fun. Alright. So grabbed a couple of keys, and then we are out of here. We're going to do another Quince break. So we have, if we do an accounting here, we have 5 of the 6 spirits. We're going to be heading in to pick up the 6th spirit. And to get to her dungeon, we would normally need to do a sequence of platforming, some puzzles, some combat. You know, everything the game's got to offer. You do all of it through a little mini dungeon. Part of this forest. This forest is expansive. It covers a lot of the game. There's very many hidden paths and ways through it. Instead, we are going to run up the river that we've seen quite a few times. I'm going to jump to lessen the effects of the river's flow. Throw a bomb, and we get knocked up here. And we can just head on into the final dungeon of the game. Well, the final spirit dungeon. There's a couple more dungeons after this. We picked up bombs in the dungeon where we got Shade. We got level 2 bombs, like I said before, we even got level 1 bombs. And we're going to take full advantage of the fact that Leon can jump on top of the bomb. He doesn't even need to get hit by it to use it for platforming abuse. You can just jump on it and use it as a platform, because it is an object in the world. And I love that for this game. I love everything about this game. I cannot praise this game enough. It did so much innovative stuff with the top-down platformer adventure game genre, then I think more people need to experience it. So hit the switch. If you've got the Rock Breaker Sword, but you haven't picked up the level 2 Great Sword from Ordon back in the village, this dungeon will not let you in, no matter what. So that's why we had to go back and there are some narrative checks that the game does that you must do before it lets you progress, and that's one of them. But here we are, we're on to the final spirit dungeon of the game. The spirit of wind, it says, but she's definitely the spirit of electricity. Which we generate some electricity from wind, so that's not too big of a stretch. Plus she's a puffy pink cloud. We're doing a lot of... this is a massive, expansive dungeon, and we're not going to see almost any of it. Thanks to now having 20 bombs. Well, 18, that's fine. Oh, I screwed that up. So you can see Shade's picking us up here as we fall into pits. That is behavior he had in Beyond Oasis as well. Extremely necessary in this dungeon. If you fall in this dungeon without Shade to pick you back up, you will fall back to the overworld, the main game, and have to platform and find your way back to this dungeon if you fall at all. It's honestly, casually very cruel. This dungeon is very dangerous. I am attempting to do that. Normally you cannot just jump over to this platform, but we'll use some bomb abuse. Shade kill this thorn for us. Oh, I fell again. This dungeon is, it's a bit of a nightmare. So one thing you can do, if you're playing this casually, there's this little switch here. A little ice meter just fell there, and that opens up a portal on the main world, close to the village that you start at, that will let you teleport back to that spot. So it's not like there's no safeties, but you have to get pretty far into the dungeon before you get any sort of a make your way back safety. So we'll refill our magic here. We'll use Shade to attack another thorn. Make a safety save. Oh my goodness. Let me just run off into the abyss. Whee! I always loved the little scream that Leon does when he falls in the pits. It reminded me of Tarzan. Alright, so we grab a key here. We're going to do another bomb jump. Have you noticed a theme? We're doing a bunch of bomb jumping here. Oh, I messed that one up. Okay, so our health's a little bit low. We do have this elixir as a backup, but show off some of the cool stuff this game does. There's little rat dudes called needles. Kill them from this barrel, and it drops a barrel full of food. Hooray, health and mana regen. Let's try that again. Put down a bomb here. Jump. There we go. So we pick up this key, it summons a bunch of dudes, so we don't really want to fight, so we make sure we activate the platform. Oh no, they're so mean! They knocked me into a pit. It's fine, we'll fight them. Since we have to wait for the platform to come back anyway. Okay. Almost knocked us off again. Make our way forward here. So we are at the end of this dungeon. So we're supposed to jump into this and run across. No, we're not supposed to do that, but we will. You're supposed to do a puzzle with those 6 switches. But why do a puzzle when we can just use iframe abuse? So we've got this Rockbreaker sword that we've talked about a few times. It is required to get into the dungeon's boss, and we've kept it without using the sword attacks at all. If you just swing with the sword, it will use one of your uses. So through this dungeon, you need to make sure that you basically only do kick attacks so that you can maintain that the Rockbreaker sword. One fun thing, you can summon Ditto off of fishes. They are a water creature after all, so I guess that makes some sort of sense. We snuff that torch, and that lets us jump over to here to get one of these pillars. And then this last pillar. And there. We're going to grab a re-up of our Rockbreaker sword because the boss of this dungeon is a rock. As you might imagine, he's kind of weak to the sword. I'm going to summon Brass because he is very helpful in this boss fight. And one more safety save. And we're on to the final boss of a spirit dungeon. Myra comes. That's the black-haired girl. Now she's got the silver armlet. She is our rival. So break the rock, and out comes this... It's called Warhead. It looks like maybe a brain? Floating red cloud? I'm not sure. Another theme of this game. Enemy design is weird. Oh no, he's getting his rock back. We were too slow. That's very unfortunate. Oh, we got him right before the rocks came on. Okay, good. That was that was a very good timing there. So if you don't kill the inside of it fast enough, he'll reform the rocks and you have to break them off. And since we didn't have the Rockbreaker sword anymore, that would have been bad, but we did it. So here we summon the 6th and final spirit, Errol, the spirit of wind. As I said, she's a pink puffy cloud. We're moving on to the end of the game. I gave myself a lot more time than I think I needed when I first submitted this game. I was very slow and I wasn't able to do a lot of the speedrun strats. So we might have some time to just play around with the game and show some stuff off, if that's all right. If we're too ahead of schedule, we'll make it work. We've got one more dungeon left to do, and then a boss rush, and then we're at the end of the game. So as I mentioned, bombs in this game, they are just objects. So here, jump on top of the bomb, and then we jump up onto the platform. And what should normally be something you can't jump up to is now trivial to do so. Essentially, what I'm saying is, once you get level 2 bombs in this game, the world is your oyster. You can go and do anything you want, anywhere you want. And I love that. Right, so, as I mentioned, there was the one switch at the beginning of the game that let us get into a late game dungeon. Here, this is the very first dungeon. If you recall, we grabbed a health potion up here, and we killed the first boss. This also hides the final dungeon of the game. I love when adventure or RPG games hide the end of the game inside the very beginning of the game. It's neat. So we can ride on Errol like she's a little platform. And I always think that's fun. There's an invisible chest here. Hides an elixir. This game is very cryptic. It does not tell you that there's invisible chests. But there's invisible stuff all over the game. Why? I don't know. Just because, I guess. I suppose one of Shade's powers, so if you have Shade, you can use him to give you Spectral Sight, which will let you see the invisible things, and gives him one more use. The same is true in Beyond Oasis. There's a couple of hidden like teleporters that you can use Shade to suss out, but they expanded it a lot in this game. You're gonna bomb jump up here. We're skipping, as you've seen, most of this game gets skipped. We don't want to do the game in the speedrun. Jet across here with Errol, and we'll go from level 1 rod to level 3 rod. Level 3 rod is actually going to be our weapon of choice through most of the rest of the game, as it does a pretty significant chunk of damage each time you do the special with it. Oh yeah, we're full Goku now. We're riding on that Nimbus. Sun Wukong. Alright, we'll bomb jump up to this platform. You're going to see that a lot. I mean, as I've said, this is the last dungeon of the game, so we're getting towards the end here, but bomb jumping is essentially our main method of transportation at this point. We'll swap back to our dagger. Do another bomb jump. Running theme, I swear. Summon Errol. Do another bomb jump. If we can. Because the little guys let us. So you saw I got a rank up there. You might have noticed that it's happened a few times throughout the game. In Beyond Oasis, there was ranks. They're the little hearts that you can pick up. Sometimes enemies will drop them when they get killed, and those increase your max HP, your max SP, and eventually they even increase your damage. So they act almost like level ups. In this game, they still have the ranks, but they happen when you fill your health bar a certain number of times that you'll rank up. And so, while it's technically possible to avoid ranking up, if you, especially once you have bombs, you can hurt yourself before your HP bar fully fills up. They kind of wanted you to take ranks, and so sort of built it in that, like, no, you're taking them whether you want to or not. Which is kind of fun. Oh, this sword guy he doesn't want us to go. Okay, this is dangerous. Oh god, there's another one. Whew. Alright. So you don't want to die here, obviously. But we're close. And since we swapped out our elixir for this blue magic potion, if we die, we die. Well, we're going to heal up with Ditto here, just to ensure that doesn't happen. Marathon safeties. So ideally, we could just jump over this metal guy, but he is not cooperating with us. Pick up our rod. And here we get our first scroll for Arrow. She has the wind rod. Our safety save. I think we didn't die before that. as I said, each spirit has a special weapon enchantment that they can do that'll boost your weapon and make it do special effects. There's the Holy Rod for Ditto, as we've seen, turn plants into springs, kill undead enemies. We've seen the Rockbreaker Sword for Bow. Ifrit has a fire sword that lets you burn things that are flammable. Shade has a darkness bow, since we don't even pick up the bow at all in this run. We obviously don't see that. Brass has a bow enchant that lets it go through enemies, so it adds piercing. And then we have the Wind Rod for Errol, which allows you to push objects even through walls, which is used for quite a few puzzles throughout the game. Only a handful, maybe 3 in the speedrun. And that was 1. So we pushed a little mouse guy onto a switch. Bow can still eat up those cracks to find hidden objects, which we use to grab a key there. Bomb jump up here. Use the Wind Rod to push the spark. You can alternatively, as we'll be doing on our way back, use Brass's sound waves to disrupt the electrical sparks, which is kind of neat. I'm going to pick up Holy Rod from that blue orb, and then we're going to summon Shade for this little gauntlet of enemies we're about to do. This little, I believe they're called tentacles? Kraken, octopus, tentacle, balloon. So yeah, the different sprites of the game for the enemies all have different names as well. Fun. Lay down, Shade attack. Shade will kill these things in 1 hit. So we want to take advantage of that. Only if he hits them though. There we go. Giant Spirit, we just let his soul rest. This part's kind of dangerous. These Titan and Goldmans can hurt a lot if they run at you and actually hit. So we're going to try and stun lock them. Alright, easy. And we've picked up our purple cube, so we have all 3 cubes. Headphones freaking out, there we go. Summon Brass. What is the point of the cubes, you may ask? Well, they have 6 sides, and we need to pick them up. I don't know. Again, I think it's just there was a large cube in Beyond Oasis. Let's do cubes again. I felt like a lot of this game was, let's redo that game, but better. How we actually imagined the game would be. Just that. And yeah, this game it really feels like it's narratively a prequel and a sequel, because it came years after. But it feels a lot like a reimagining with a narrative that sort of connects them together. Well, there's a few bomb boosts in Beyond Oasis. They aren't. I would say none of them are strictly necessary to actually running the game. If you want to get top time, I guess they are, and they're definitely much harder than in this game. In this game, bomb boosts are essentially free. It's as easy as you throw the bomb. When you start, oh, arrow's in the way. When you start to see the bomb turn yellow, you jump with your back towards where you want to go, and it'll almost always hit in the right spot. We're gonna ride Errol. There wasn't a lot of fanfare, but that is the end of that dungeon. We are in the end game now. There's no boss. I guess the gauntlet of enemies that gave us the purple cube is the boss? One more time, I use the wind rod there. I think those are the only 2 times you use it. We had to push a key off of a platform as well, so 3 times. And then, yeah, we never pick up the 2 bow scrolls, and we never use the fire sword, so fully half the weapon enchantments in this game aren't used in the speedrun at all. And this is the Tower of Agito. This is the final dungeon of the game. We have made it. You do take a safety save, because while this isn't too technically challenging, there is a couple of pain points where I've had some trouble. Like these sword guys, they're mean. They just like to poke you. Come on. Okay. And we're going to do essentially a boss rush with a little bit of adventuring in between. I love that this guy's name is Bludgeon, and he uses a sword. That is not a bludgeoning weapon. Wow. So he only has 3 moves. He does the punch, like you saw. He can throw his sword like a boomerang, which he did, and then he has just a wide slash of the sword. And typically, he only does the wide slash and very rarely does the other 2 moves, so that was kind of an interesting pattern for him. And the way that you would dodge and avoid the slash attack is actually really funny. Like in Beyond Oasis, you can, you know, crouch and walk around really slow. In this game, the crouch is through the R, because we have extra buttons on the Saturn controller. You hold R and then you can crouch. And if you hit jump, which was how you crouched in Beyond Oasis, well, in this form, Leon lays down. He's just, I'm going to take a short little nap here. Nappy time. But that actually does change his hitbox. Change the Z level that Leon's at. And so you can use that to dodge Bludgeon's attacks. It looks funny. Take a quick little nappy here. Yeah, I know I got a world to save, but I'm tired. So we picked up Bow to open up that crack to summon Ditto, because this next boss, the Red Demon, that has taunted us throughout the game a few times, he is a major pain in the butt if you don't have Ditto to freeze him like this. Oh, he got away. He's on my head! He does those slashes like that, and that just eats through your HP. Okay, okay. One thing we don't want to do is run out of magic. So we're actually going to get rid of Ditto there. We got this blue potion, which we need for the next boss. And ideally, we're going to go into this next boss with quite a bit of magic. We're not doing that this time. What I want is to find a zombie. There you go. You can summon shade off of anything that reflects you, including zombies and ghosts. Kind of spooky. We're gonna get brass. So we used the potion early before the fight. That should be fine. Should. My health is very low, which I don't love. Easy. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Alright. Yeah, I love the zombie sounds. It's one of my very favorite things. It's stuck with me for my whole life, is the way those zombies moan. Ooh. Okay. The sound design in this game is top-notch. This is kind of dangerous since we don't actually have the elixir, and our health is quite low, as you can see. I actually might take a game over here. Ooh, that hurts. Okay. We're doing those bosses again. I hope you liked watching them the first time, because we just died. Jeez. It's fine. So here's what I'm going to do, because I don't want that to happen again. We are going to summon Arrow, and we're going to do some backup safety strats. I'll show you how you can get through this final dungeon very safely, rather than quickly, since quickly obviously did not serve us well here. Sword guy, you and I are not friends. So these metal boxes here, and throughout the game, even from the very beginning, you don't know what they do when you first encounter them, but Errol can open them with electricity. Ah, sword guy, you and I are definitely not friends. Whew. Health is so low. But, so we replaced our blue magic potion that will refill magic if it gets empty with this elixir, which will fully heal both our HP and our magic if we die. I'm going to safety save there. So on each floor between the bosses in this section, there is an elixir that you can pick up. We were trying to get the elixir when we died and got a game over there. Because we got pushed into that pit, and the pit is just, it's dangerous. These sword guys are so frustrating. Because what they do is they just poke you, and they can poke you from further away than your sword can reach. And it stun locks you. Well, as you can see, the ideal is to just run by those guys like we did the first time, because combat with them can be very frustrating. They don't like to cooperate. Now we're cooking with gas. Now we're on our way. Maybe we'll get to see dodging Bludgeon's attacks by laying down the job. Through it that time. Please keep punching me. I enjoy it. Alright. Not too bad. So just, we don't need to, but I'll show it off. If you go to the right instead of the left, these bomb guys here in front of the red demon. Ouch. The bombs do a lot of damage. Those are level 3 bombs. So every weapon in the game has 3 levels. We picked up level 2 bombs without getting level 1, and we're never going to pick up level 3. We picked up level 3 rod. There is a level 3 sword that we didn't get, and then level 3 bow, which we never even picked up the bow either. And if I hadn't game overed, we would have seen a level 3 knife, which we will see eventually. The level 3 bombs that these guys are throwing do a ton of damage to you. And here's an elixir. So every level's got one in the Tower of Agito. Just in case you need the safety. Alright, so we don't need to summon Bow since we got Ditto over there. Oh, I missed the platform. We'll wait. I like how the wind shoots through Leon's hair when he does this attack. Red Demon 2.0. Easy. So if Ditto stun locks him like that, this is not a hard fight. If he gets out of control, it's a very hard fight. Once more, we'll summon Shade off a zombie. Kill this tentacle. So that we can summon Brass. It's real Walking Dead in here. So ideally you have the magic potion, so that you can use Brass, because he does a ton of damage to Darkwill. And then when he gets empty on mana, you just refill. But having the elixir is a lot safer. We'll go with that. Alright, we'll try this room. Since we have the elixir, I'm not going to go over to the right and get myself killed in the pit. We'll just move on. So here is a bit of narrative. You summon Brass. He's like, oh, the bad guys are too hard. I need to sacrifice myself to give you the ultimate weapon. And he upgrades your dagger to level 3. Thus writing him out of the story, so it makes sense that he's not in Beyond Oasis. Because he's not in Beyond Oasis. Neither is Errol. Like, wait a minute. Where do these two spirits go? They wrote them out. They explained it. Alright. So this boss is very reminiscent of the Silver Armlet fight in Beyond Oasis, where she's very difficult to hit. She summons bad guys all the time. And she's kicking my butt. And that's why we need an elixir. Try and summon the Freed again. So you can keep us a little bit safe. Oh, don't let her do that. Freed is counting on you. So, I cannot get this move to work. So similar to the special moves with the dagger, left, right, left, up, down, up, attack, the Holy Rod has a special move that you've seen me use quite a few times throughout the run, which he bashes into them like that. It is, with the level 3 Holy Rod, the most powerful attack, because it does a huge chunk of damage in one hit. It just completely goes around iframes. So mostly what we're trying to use here. Take a safety save. But yeah, that Myra fight is pretty difficult, even, knowing what to do if you don't get her into the right pattern, which we didn't at all there. Ideally, you push her into a corner and can just stun lock her. She can get out of hand really, really fast. Grab back up elixir. And we are about to do the final fight of the game, so that's exciting. We will heal up really quick, though. or bomb jump ourselves across the map. Alright, so here we have... I skipped by it because I skipped through all the dialogue. It's just muscle memory, because I used to speedrunning this. So we've written out Brass, the Spirit of Sound. Our pause menu, he's gone. He's not there anymore. He killed himself to give us a dagger that we're never even going to use anyway. In this, the North American version, it gives you a dialogue where Errol, the Spirit of Wind, says, hey, summon me for the fight. You'll need my power for defeating Agito. The Japanese version doesn't do that. There's no hint that you should be doing this. But if you summon Errol for this fight, she will sacrifice herself and write herself out of the narrative as well. So she says, hey, I'll make a magic circle with my life force. And then you get this magic refilling circle to help you throughout the fight. If you don't bring Errol in, this fight is almost impossible. But if you were wondering why is there 6 spirits in this game and only 4 and the game is technically after it, this is why. Brass kills himself to give you a dagger, and Errol kills herself to let you have infinite magic during this fight. So we wait for that. We summon Ifrit so that he will throw fireballs or punch Agito, which will give him a fire shield. And then when the fire shield is up, he will summon one of those blue fireballs, which we can summon Ditto off of. And basically, the fight comes down to keeping Ditto's heal active over this blue circle as we hit Agito with our stick. And if you're just playing this game casually, and exploring and doing all this stuff, you'll probably be ranked 30 or 40 and have most of the screen as the size of your HP and SP pools. We're obviously not nearly that powerful, so without this sort of abuse of game mechanics, this fight would be very difficult. So, Agito just did a fun, and very air quotes, fun thing where he can despawn your spirits. He made me lose Ditto. A couple of his attacks force your spirits to get desummoned. So we need to get Ifrit back so that we can get Ditto back. And see, even with I have infinite mana and infinite HP when I have Ditto out, Agito is not easy to even hit at all. He does not like when you attack him. He's much, much harder in this game than in Beyond Oasis. These pink balls that he's summoning there, those, if they come into contact with your spirit, despawn them. So we want to make sure we have Leon run into them instead of the spirits, but obviously he is not cooperating with us. This fight is such a pain. Can't even do anything without being knocked down over and over. So at this point, with our health being what it is, I'm going to try to just attack him, and we'll use the elixir that we grabbed for safety. One more hit should be it. Then that's it. That's time. I'm not keeping it timer, but that's time. That fight is painful. Like I said, if you're playing through it as intended and getting a bunch of rank ups, you've got a huge HP and SP pool. He's not nearly that frustrating knocking you around. He still will, but you can tank it a lot. Yeah, that's the any percent run of the game at not the fastest by any means, but I hope that was enjoyable. Maybe someday I'll learn the 100% run so I can actually show off the bulk of the game. There's so many secrets and little things to show in this game. It's one of my favorites ever. Oasis series it's great. I hope more people play it. I'm glad that I get to take part. It's 40 years, 40 games, and get to show off one of my favorites. Sega Saturn's one of my favorite consoles ever. I grew up with it. This was one of the games I grew up with. Yeah, thanks for having me. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy the rest of the marathon. I've been having a ton of fun watching, and I'm gonna continue. I think I'm actually not sure what's coming up next. I'm not bad at this. I know I'm a little bit ahead of schedule as well. I gave myself way more time than I actually needed. Well, maybe not too far ahead, actually. That's good. I think this actually worked out really well. Shinobi, yeah, we got Faust. He's going to be playing some Shinobi, so stay tuned. Thanks, guys.